Hi, and welcome back to our last history lesson this week. And we're going to be looking at language in a way, but we're going to look at how we can use that to find clues about where the Anglo-Saxons may have settled in Britain. And before we do that, we're going to have a look at what we might look for if we were to make a village or settle in Britain as well. Now we've got our map over here, and in our map, it shows England mainly, Cornwall, which we know was the Anglo-Saxons didn't settle in, same with Wales, but we can find it elsewhere. And some of the places on here actually show some examples of that. But we'll come to that in a minute. First off, when the Anglo-Saxons came to Britain, they decided they needed to make a place for themselves to live. So once they arrived, they had to decide where to build their villages. If you were deciding where you were going to build a village, what would you look for? What might entice you to build your home somewhere? Have a think. Pause now and have a look. Okay, so some ideas might be something along these: a lake or a stream for fresh water. Now, obviously, in the Anglo-Saxon time, there was no such thing as a tap. You can't go into your kitchen, turn the tap on. So they had to get fresh water from somewhere. So having a lake or a stream nearby made that much, much easier. So it might be that they choose somewhere near there. They might also choose to be close to the coast. And the reason for that is that, remember, they travelled across the North Sea on boats. So they would know how to use them. And this would mean that they could travel further, which means that they could trade more. And that made their life easier. Obviously, they came to England looking for somewhere where it made their life easier. And one of the reasons it made their life easier is that you had good land for farming. So where you might build your house is somewhere where there was some good land for farming. Valleys. They would look for valleys because if you were surrounded by high ground, you'd have protection from weather. The winds wouldn't hit you as hard and the rains would normally fall on the top of the ridges rather than in the valley where you are. And when they did, it was to help your farmland. Also, it meant that their village would be hidden from other people around them, and this would be protection from other families, tribes. You might put it on a hillside on the other case, and the choice, if you made that, rather than protecting yourself against the weather or from being seen, it meant that you could see anyone approaching your village. It's kind of taking the opposite approach, but both are valid. You're looking to see to make sure that you know where someone is coming from. You might build it near to woodland, and that's because they used wood for so many things, not only just building their houses, but also for making tools, for making boats, for burning, for getting heat. So that would be a good choice as well. Now you also might put it near rivers. Now you could fish on river, so it'd be a source of food. You can travel along a river and see other people, get from one place to another quickly. Remember, they also came across on boats, which means they could travel up the rivers to get further inland as well. And these are all things that they had to think about when they came to Britain, where they were going to make their villages. It'd be different now, of course, because if you traveled to Britain now, it'd be where you could get a house. And that's a very different question entirely. So, our language is full of words from other parts of the world, all over the world, in fact. A lot of those are Anglo-Saxon in nature, but we have lots and lots of words that come from a long way off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few words. And before I reveal the answer, I want you to have a guess of where you think those words or what country those words come from. So let's see. Our first set of words is ballet, cafe, and genre. What country do you think they're from? Well done if you said French from France. Our next set, Karaoke Ninja Tsunami. Hopefully this is an easy one for you. If you remember back to year 4, it might give you a hint. Anyone? Yes, Japanese. They're from Japan. Our next set, Delicatessen, Kindergarten, and Rucksack. You might get it from the middle one, slightly easier than some of the others. Did anyone get it? It's German. And we got a lot of words from German. How about macho and patio? They're Spanish, from Spain. And tofu and typhoon. Maybe you'll get this from tofu if you think about where tofu is made, or a lot of it anyway. It's Chinese. And then these bottom ones, these are all from different places. So I have chocolate, lemon, avatar, and sherbet. Each one is from a different place. Pause now and have a guess for each one. Okay, so where do we think? Guesses for chocolate? It's Native America. Moped is from Sweden, in Swedish. Lemon is Arabic. Avatar is Hindi. And sherbet is Turkish. So really, all of these words that we use in our language are from all over the world. And we use them because obviously they're brought here by those people, or they're names of something that's already been used, so we just use the name as is. Sometimes we use these words because we're being invaded or settled by these people, especially true with the Germans and the French and the Anglo-Saxons, not so true with a lot of the others. But that's another reason why some of our languages come from there. That's why we have a lot of Latin as well, because of the Romans. And there's a lot of this linking all the way through. So, with that in mind, let's think about, could we find some hints and use some aspects of language to see if we can find some hints of where Anglo-Saxons may have settled. So we're back to our map. And on our map, we've got lots of different places. You can't see very many here, but if you were to look online, you could use Google Earth, zoom in at different parts of the UK and find lots of different parts. So I'm going to set you a challenge in a minute. But we need to know that our language is full of words or parts of words from Anglo-Saxon as well. We can still see many of these in the place names or towns or cities. I'm going to give you a list of a few of these. We'll run through them to see what they mean as well. So here's our list of Anglo-Saxon words where they might be used. So if something ended in bridge, it would mean that it was by a bridge. For example, maybe Cambridge. You have born or burn, and in this case, this actually means stream, so it might be a place that's near a stream. Bur or bury, and this is a fort, so somewhere where it might have had a fort or have built a fort. Coombe, to the valley. Remember we said that might be quite good as a protection from the elements. Cot would be a small hut. A fool or a fell is a place cleared of trees. So if you were making a clearing, it would be called that. A field, hopefully that makes sense. It's a field. Another example of that might be Petersfield. Ham, which just meant village. Now, this is an interesting one because on our map, we have two that actually link to that. We have one that links to Spield as well. So can anyone spot those two? Or the three? Two that say Ham, one that says Field? Yes, you're right. We got Birmingham and Nottingham and Sheffield. Then we've got Hurst, which means clearing. Ing, so a village that ends in ing might mean people of that place. Lake is quite self-explanatory, hopefully. A lay or a lee is a clearing. A stead is a farm. There are other words that mean stead or farm too, such as tun or which we'll come to later. Stock or stow, we have summer pasture for stock and holy place for stow. Ton or tun, depending on, is farm or a village. We've got one on here of those too. Can you find it? Yep, Southampton. Tun meaning farm or village. Then you got whip or which is farm or dwelling. Then you got worth, which is fenced land, so an area which is fenced in. So your challenge, what I want you to try and do is I want you to find 5 towns or cities. You could find more, be very impressed if you could find more, whose names derive from the Anglo-Saxon language. Okay. Now on the map that you created, or if you want to make a new one, that is fine. I want you to add those places and their names to that map. I'm going to give you an example. So Warrington, I placed on my map, you can see it over here, is Warrington, is all the way over here in between Liverpool and Manchester. Tun is the word it links to in the Anglo-Saxon language, meaning village or town. For each village town, you might want to explain the feature that helps give it its name. So you might want to have a look at that town. If you use Google Earth, you can zoom right in and have a good look at it. So Warrington is close to the River Mersey, so the soil is very good for growing, which is why it probably would have been a farming area, and tun means farm. So what I want you to try and do, much like I've done here, is find those 5, 6, 7 towns or cities that derive from an Anglo-Saxon language. I want you to place them on your map, either one you created yesterday or a new one. And then I want you to think about why it might be called that. Why? What features are around it that might have given it that? Or what do you think it might have been? Have a go and see what you can come up with. I look forward to seeing your work on Tapestry. That's all for today. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.